GNL Zamba BABOON Force, a legend.
Yeah, it is rolling.
Okay.
Yeah. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
What's happening, baby?
I'm good. What's happening in your world? What day is it today?
What are we, Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday. So Wednesday is usually the day that the Africans usually choose to worship other gods.
They worship other gods?
Not other gods. Actually, it's the day that the Africans, the traditionalists in my country worship the gods on Wednesday.
So it's like if you're Christian, you worship the Jewish God or the Christian God on
and then on Wednesday
Thursday
you worship
till
your
Tuesday,
gods.
and then on Wednesday you take a break and you worship all the other ones.
I'm fooling around. What's happening in your world too?
Just not really worshiping any gods particularly.
Why? It's fun to worship.
Is it?
It is fun to worship.
I don't know if it's that fun. It's not that fun. You know what's fun though?
What's fun?
I saw these guys hang gliding the other day.
Oh yeah. I saw that you posted something on. Was that Runyon Park? I saw some people getting off the mountain and going into the air.
Yeah, no, it was.
You were doing some white boy stuff. That's some white boy stuff.
Jumping off a mountain. On
your
back?
Yeah. Was that fun? Did you participate?
I didn't do it. No, I just saw them doing it. I'm thinking about doing it. I feel like it would be a really cool thing, but didn't do it. Yeah, apparently hang gliding. Mm-hmm. So what I posted was paragliding, but that's where you have like a parachute.
What's the difference between paragliding and paragliding?
So paragliding, it's like a collapsible wing that's sort of basically a parachute, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the one which is like a circle, right?
Yeah.
And which is the one
you're kind of in what looks like a sleeping bag lying on your back in it, and you're like pulling it with your arms.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And hang glider is like where it looks like it's a kite, and you're in the bottom, and you're like holding onto a bar.
Oh, that's the one I like. Which one is that?
That's hang gliding.
Yeah, I'm a hand glider because this one I don't have a strong back. Do you need to work your back for that?
I don't know, probably, but either way, I think hang gliding's cooler.
Yeah, but I even like V's more than I like U's. Yeah, so I'll go with the hand gliding.
There you go.
Yeah,
but apparently it's a little, in some ways, it's more dangerous, and to paraglide in some ways it's more safer. Because if you get in wind, the parachute could collapse, right? But there was a story of a woman who got like caught in an updraft. Whenever you see this, I learned this. Whenever you see cumulus clouds, like those pillars of clouds that go up.
Yeah.
In the middle of there's like 40 or 50 mile an hour winds going straight up.
You're kidding me.
And they'll freeze you. Yeah. So a woman like flew into that and got frozen. And it sent her like up above like really high altitude, and she like got straight frostbite, completely passed out. But because she's basically in a glider, she just slowly like went back down and thawed out, and then like hit the ground, and she was fine.
Oh, you're kidding! I thought you were going to say that when she went up, she turned into the Night King.
Yeah, it would be kind of
she
like
just hit the ground and exploded.
Yeah, I don't. And then there's another story, but of hang gliding, and I don't know if this is true. I think I read this online, so it may not be true. But story was, a person hang gliding got into a storm. The storm pushed them up above the clouds, so it's like peaceful up there. But if there's a thunderstorm under, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
And every time she came back down, it would like push her back up. She spent like over a day doing this. And then eventually the storm passed, and she was able to go down and land, and she was fine.
Was that the best fun she has ever had in her life?
I think it was a pretty scary day.
I think people who do sports like that really reach out for that, really want a thrill like that.
Probably.
Like it's not that fun unless there's something challenging there.
Yeah, but I think also, like, if you've had dreams where you're flying, right?
Yeah.
So
actually, the dreams I have, I'm not really flying. No, I'm flying, but I'm not flying that high. It's like I begin walking on my foes, like running on my foes, like until it's like really fast and I have the momentum and I just take off. And this is like a recurring dream. It's not like something which has only happened once. I should go to someone to try to figure out what that means. But usually I'm like running and then I take off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I had a dream actually where I invented a backpack that had a hang glider that came out of it, and I could just do running starts anywhere I was.
Yeah.
So I could run, pull a cord,
Yeah.
the wings would come out of my back like I was an X-Man,
Yeah.
and then I could just fly everywhere.
So the difference between you and me in your dream and my dream is that you would be Batman because you need extra gadgets that are not natural to just fly.
Yeah.
The difference, I would be Superman
You could just do it.
It's just there. I could just do it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think my dreams are cooler than yours.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
flying dreams are kind of cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a dream where like you flew and then you hit the ground?
No, I usually wake up before I hit the ground. I wake up in like cold sweats.
Oh, I've hit the ground.
What happened? I don't know what that
I
feels
could
like.
when you I could see myself from like above,
Yeah.
and like I saw people like finding my body and stuff.
That's scary.
Yeah, except that when you wake up and you're like, wow, that didn't happen. Time for coffee.
The brain is a very, very complex machine. We were watching something yesterday and we were talking about, do you know how unreliable eyewitness accounts are?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And usually in eyewitness accounts, people recall, oh, he was wearing this and then he ran away and then this happened and this happened. But when studies are usually carried out, you find that these people keep on adding details to what really happened, that if you ask them like 15 years after or 10 years after, it would completely be a very different story. Now they will even begin telling you, and his eyebrows were this, yet before they would have said, oh, I don't really remember seeing his face. But now they begin describing, or even had blue eyes. Yes, his eyes were blue. So,
Right.
So our memories and our brains, the way they work, the reason why I bring this up is usually I was told that dreams are like when you have thoughts that you haven't fully processed, the brain, when you're sleeping, brings them back up so it can arrange them and sort them so that what you need, you keep, what you don't need, it throws away.
Right.
So in the process of doing that, that's why dreams sometimes don't really make sense, because your brain is just shuffling through stuff.
Right.
You know, like you imagine this and then you imagine that stuff which shouldn't be, which doesn't make sense. So am I correct? Am I correct when, have you, what are dreams like? That's what I've heard, and that's what I think it is. Do you know what dreams are?
I don't really know what they are. I know that we like to read into them a lot.
Yeah.
We like to try to find meaning in them. I think it's some sort of simulated reality, right? It's like your brain can process what's happened. It can simulate different situations. It can play with different, like, I think there's some part of it that is testing stuff that you need. So like if you haven't been scared in a while, you might have a scary dream because your body needs to like exercise that. Right? If you haven't had sex in a long time, you might have a wet dream because your body needs to like remember how to do that stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. So when was the last time you had a wet dream?
Probably been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think you usually have wet dreams when you're younger, right? Or is it that because when you're younger, it's harder to get laid?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you have to not only not have sex, I think you have to not masturbate too.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Like the brain, 90% of the sex happens in the brain. So if you're masturbating, you're exercising your right hand and your brain as well.
Well, yeah, your brain's you're releasing those chemicals. So
Or is that the left hand for you?
I think actually my first wet dream was when I was in Africa.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Was it a Maasai girl?
No, it was no, we were in a group, and like all the people in our group were having to dress like super conservatively, right?
Yeah.
And we were sharing tents, like, so it was like me and another guy in a tent all the time, and it was a very non-sexual environment. Yeah. And then we ended up at this one camp, and there were 2 American girls there that were like just very sexual in their interactions
With big boobs.
And and then like that night I had like a major wet dream, and I was like, whoa. But it was awkward because I was in a tent with another dude.
Yeah, but that proves my theory that when you're sleeping, it's your brain having not fully processed stuff that it begins arranging stuff and trying to make so
right.
What are the stories about before we even go into like stories about dreams in the history of the world and stuff like that? What's the strangest dream you've ever had?
The strangest dream. It's hard to rank him like that. I had a really memorable dream that I don't remember important parts of it, but I found this locket and it had a key that I could turn. And every time I looked at the locket, it had a different word written there. And when I turned the key, gravity for me would go down to only about 10%. So like you would still be there like normal, but I could like jump really high and float back down really slowly. So like at one point I jumped off a roof of a big skyscraper and I turned the key and like I just floated down nicely, slowly.
That's a cool dream.
It was super cool. But every time I looked at it before I did the thing, it was like another word. And I don't remember what they were, but it was words like
would you
empathy or it was like
it
was all
but,
kind of
but would
deep.
you recognize the language?
Oh yeah, it was English, but it was like
okay.
It was conceptual words like patience or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I forget the order. So if there was any significance, it was lost on me.
Did you ever watch the movie called Inception? Did you love Inception?
It was amazing.
Because I was a fan of Inception.
Yeah, it was cool.
In that movie, when the movie ends, I have a question for you. When the movie ends in Inception, is DiCaprio awake or is he still asleep? That's the question.
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember what happens at that point.
So for the guys who watched the movie, for the guys who watched Inception, there was that thing that he used to spin. And that thing he used to spin, if it continued spinning, that means he would still be in a dream world. But if you were to spin it and it would fall, that means that he's back to the reality that we all inhabit, that we are in right now. So we watched that movie and I kept on arguing with friends, and why did they say, oh, he was still asleep? Because when the movie ends, it's still spinning. But the editors of the movie were so wise that at the end of the movie, even after the screen goes black, it's when you hear it fall.
Oh.
Which is also like a mind twist in its own, that if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to actually see it as the tree fallen, if you only heard it.
Yeah.
Does that even make any sense?
Yeah, I think so.
so to me, the way Inception ends, I think Inception, he was finally awake because I heard it fall. Yeah, so
I was probably asleep because I didn't even notice that.
Oh shit! I like there are movies which I've been obsessed with like over the years. One of them is Matrix. I loved Inception
that was so
too.
Good. What about lucid dreams? Have you ever had lucid dreams?
I've never had. What do you mean, like real lucid dreams, or is there a movie called Lucid Dreams?
No, I mean like having an actual lucid dream.
I think I've had lucid dreams. I can't really remember one right now, but I think the lucid dream that disappointed me the most is when I was a child. So I was like so broke, and my parents were like going through financial problems, right? And I know it. So I had this dream that I had won money. So in Uganda, there used to be like on soda and Pepsi bottles. They had a campaign where
you could win money.
You could win money, but the money would be under. They would print the present under the bottle.
Right.
Right.
You have to buy the bottle.
So you open and then in the cork there's like a soft thing you can pop, and then you see the present under.
Yeah.
So there were like hearts. There were like other soda. There's like a free soda. And then there was like $1 million. There was 2 million. And there was like 9 million.
Whoa.
I dreamt I had won 9 million. So everything was fine in my dream, like I was beginning to buy shit, but I still held on to I don't know, for some reason the life changed in my dream and everything was all suddenly colorful, but I remember holding the bottle top in my hand, like really, really tight. And when I woke up, I didn't want to even really wake up because it felt so real. And it even took a while for I could still feel the marks in my palm of the bottle top, even when I knew that the bottle top wasn't there.
Even when you woke up.
Even when I woke up, I didn't want to open my palm to like, this was just a fucking dream. It felt so real.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so lucid dreaming is usually when when you're aware you are in a dream. And when you're aware you're in a dream, you can control it, actually. So you can fly, you can break through walls, you can go find people that you want to hang out with, or you can just interact with your dream characters. The trouble is when you know you're in a dream and you stay in the dream, a couple things might happen. It might be too awesome and you wake up, or you might just fall back asleep and stop being aware that you're in the dream.
Okay.
So like, usually you can train yourself to do it, but one of the ways you do it is you get into a habit of testing whether or not you're in a dream. So because when you're in a dream, you just think it's normal because you don't test to see. So what you try to do is in normal life, you do a few things. One thing you do is you flick on light switches. Because if you're in a dream, you can't really change the light.
Oh, so that's another Inception thing. So that would be the marker where it spins.
And
Okay,
you can't read.
So
if you pick up a book and read it, it's going to be gibberish. Like your brain's not going to write a book that you can actually read in a dream.
Yeah, that's why I asked you what thing is it? Because in my dream, it's usually numbers. Like a language. My brain could say, "Oh, this text is telling you this," but the writing itself is either blurry or it's like some kind of gibberish I can't really read, you know?
Yeah. So that's it. So maybe you'll see a sign. You could maybe see a word written, but you're not going to see, if you pick up a book, you're not going to be able to read it.
Yeah.
If there's words, they're going to be all mismatched and jumbled. And then you can be like, I'm dreaming.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What do I want to do? And sometimes I go to space.
To space? Like where?
Just
space is vast.
Yeah, I know. Well, so what happens a lot of the time is I get excited.
Do you go to planet Zambaland?
I haven't been there yet. I should go.
Okay.
I'll fly. I'll go through the roof, or I'll knock the walls off, and then I'll like see the city from above, and then eventually I'll like get into weightlessness in space.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, usually, my brain's like, dude, I can't keep rendering these images, and then I just wake up. But what you're supposed to do is just try to keep your awareness and interact with the people in your dream, because they might tell you something.
Yeah. How long does can you control the lucid dream when you latch on?
Some people can learn to do it and they do it every night. And then when they wake up, they're not tired. They're excited because they just went skydiving all night, or they sailed around the world, or they did something exciting.
That's really if I learn to do that. If I learn to do that, I think it would really, really be interesting. Because I kind of pride myself for having a very, very entertaining imagination. At least entertaining to me. Some people don't like being alone because being alone bores them, and but I'm the kind of person who would chill in a room and have fun by myself. Or be at a bar looking at everybody but having thoughts of my own that are very, very interesting and entertaining. It sounds very it sounds very self-centered, but I don't think self-centered is the word. But I find my thoughts really, really entertaining sometimes. So if I could control lucid dreams, I would fulfill all my fantasies. I would go out there and probably go to Mars. Probably.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it would be so good for your brain, right?
Yeah. I would eat all sorts of food.
You'd have so much extra life.
I would talk to dead people.
You could.
Yeah. So, in Uganda, there are rumors usually when you go to the villages, people talk about every village has a scary house. Where people talk about, these people either have cannibalistic tendencies, or these people, if you touch any of their mangoes or try to like get their pineapples, like you could get stuck onto the plant. Like there's always a house somewhere which people are scared of. But there's this particular house in Mukono. I'm from Mukono, a place called Mukono, which is like my ancestral place.
How many people live there?
I think Mukono could be like about 500,000 people. It's not really populated, though it's close to the city. The village where I'm from is like 500,000, but it's like a very vast area too.
Okay.
But the strength is the Florida. It is the Florida of.
Oh yeah.
It's the Florida of Uganda. That's where the Florida man manifests in another reality. You know.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So in this particular area, there is a house that's known to. You never see anybody dig. This is what I've heard from stories. You never see anybody dig, like go to cultivate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all their field, they have the most food. They have plenty of food, right? For even sell or to even feed other people. But nobody wants to eat that other food because they claim they don't know who digs it. But there have also been reports that people wake up tired, like men wake up tired, sometimes with muddy feet. That there is a way this person somehow controls other people's brains to come and do his work in the night. People
that's so cool.
Yeah, like people dig at night and do all this work for him.
And they're sleepwalking.
And they're sleepwalking.
And
so people,
he's got all these people working on his
all
farm.
the people working on this farm.
Do they wake up with money in their pockets, or does
no?
he
So it's like some kind of it's like some kind of like telepathic slavery. If
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've started doing urban gardening, where I have like a little garden in my house in my backyard, but I'll take like clippings from my tomato trees and plant them in the alley. So they're growing tomatoes. Anybody can grab them. It's like in a public space. But like,
okay. That's really nice.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to make the garden more expanding. I planted a bunch of corn.
Do you need seeds or branches for tomatoes?
For tomatoes, you can just take any sucker, any clipping, and stick it in water.
Yeah.
And after about 10 days, 8 or 10 days, they'll start to be roots.
Are tomatoes hydroponic?
Anything can be hydroponic. Any plant can be hydroponic. Hydroponic.
When you said anything, I was going to be like, is Ben hydroponic?
I'm super hydroponic. No, hydroponic, I think, just means you're growing it without soil.
Yeah. It's just like in the water and you just...
Yeah, you could do that. I'm pretty sure.
I'm thinking of planting weed on the studio roof.
Yeah?
Hydroponic.
You could do it. And
hydroponic,
I think in California,
chronic.
you can grow 6 plants.
Do you think we're going to make money with the hydroponic chronic?
Yeah, I think you can make a lot of money with the hydroponic chronic. What about what's it called? Aquaponics.
What are aquaponics? Those are the ones that depend on what, like plankton?
No, it's the one where it's hydroponics that's connected to a fish tank. And it's a perfectly closed system. So you have to feed the fish.
Yeah.
But the fish poop, and then that goes to fertilize the plants in the hydroponic
system.
Dude,
you're talking about the future. So yeah. So the poop feeds the plant. The plant
grows
feeds
food.
It grows food and feeds the fish.
I don't think you can feed the fish the plant. Maybe you can. I think you have to feed the fish normal fish food. But
then that's not sustainable.
I think it is. I think there are perfectly closed systems where it works like that.
Yeah.
But generally, you can do it with any freshwater fish. And you can do it even with, people have done it with freshwater shrimp. So you can grow protein, fish protein, and vegetables.
But we need to cut out, if we're going to be able to live on Mars or on Jupiter, we need to cut out the part where we feed the fish.
No, bring some fish food.
Why? That's a load for a rocket to carry.
Little flakes.
Like compressed food.
Well, fish food is usually like little flakes.
See what happens. See this kind of stuff people talk about when they're on weed or when people smoke. Do you smoke?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So people who usually smoke, I don't smoke as much as I should because my brain hasn't learned how to handle California weed yet. It's a little too complex for me, but I've enjoyed.
I can't smoke a lot, but I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and I do it for my glaucoma because I'm making excuses.
Do you in Uganda is there a good weed?
Yeah. Not as good as Californian weed. Not as good as Californian weed. But I'm talking about the reason why I was talking about the weed and the thoughts is people who smoke tend to have like a very defined imagination, right? Or not defined, a very interesting imagination. Or when you smoke, you kind of like take time to slow time down and observe things. Like
sure,
yeah. So I wonder, have you ever heard of ayahuasca?
Yes.
And DMT?
Yeah. Did you just today?
Yeah.
Oakland, California, decriminalized magic mushrooms and ayahuasca.
Are you moving?
No. The first was Denver. They decriminalized magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
But Berkeley did it today. Or
Yeah.
not Berkeley, Oakland. City Council of Oakland, California. So the Bay Area.
The whole Bay Area is going to be on shrooms.
It's the city of Oakland, California. So I don't know if that's just Oakland, but yeah, it's decriminalized. So now that those two areas went, many more places will go.
Yeah, amen. Most of this other stuff that people fear is just... It's just fear itself. But the reason why I'm talking about the DMT and ayahuasca and all these other things is that they tend to send people to this place which is like a dreamlike world, right? And it's a dreamlike world where certain realities and dimensions are opened up to you. It's like you're peeking into something which is either in the future or something is being revealed to you that you never even knew was there, but was just like right in front of your eyes, right?
Right.
So back in the day, or in like Asian traditions, people used to smoke these hallucinogenics, right?
Yeah.
In order to either be at peace with themselves or in order to try to find ways of talking to the ancestors, if you might say.
Right.
So I believe that when you said lucid dreams that somebody could control and where you could go and who you could talk to, that might have been a gateway for people to get there.
So maybe lucid dreaming is how you accidentally join someone's farm staff.
Farm stuff?
Yeah. You get into lucid dreaming, and the next thing you know, you're gardening in the digging. Dark.
Oh, shit. Yeah. You're planting tomatoes and you don't know why you're planting tomatoes.
Yeah, maybe it's already happened to me.
It might be happening to you. Somebody might be controlling your mind from somewhere. But talking about, like, people in the Bible used to talk about all these dreams, that the Pharaoh had a dream.
Yeah.
And there were 7 famines for 7 years. And then there were skinny cows, and then the fat cow ate the skinny cow.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like, dreams have always been like present all through human experience, but how come we know so little about them?
That's interesting. So I think we know very little about the way the brain works.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really understand very much about that at all. But it's normal that people would read into their dreams in huge ways and think like the gods were talking to them back then, because they didn't have a good explanation for almost anything. They didn't know why storms happened. They didn't know what caused the weather changes. They didn't understand what an earthquake was or why a drought happened.
Yeah.
Or even why diseases happen when people would get sick and die. That was a mystery. They didn't know about germs.
Yeah.
So, the idea that anything might be an important sign didn't seem crazy. They didn't have any other explanation. And if there's one thing we know, people will almost always choose a bad explanation over no explanation.
Yeah, I understand that, but how would you explain this? Because this is in my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the side of my paternal grandfather, right, we have this relative who seems to know when somebody close to her has died even before anybody tells her.
Ooh. Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
So most of the times they would go to deliver the sad news, and she would just tell the other person, tell me who died. Because she dreams about these things. And she's a very, very old. Sometimes if it's a person if she doesn't have to go travel, she'll start making arrangements for where the people coming to bury are going to bury the body, or should begin all these arrangements before people even come to tell her.
Or maybe
so how would you explain that?
Well, maybe people don't come to visit her unless somebody dies.
No. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
How would you explain that she would begin making arrangements before they even tell her? Because this wasn't even in the era before cell phones were like all over the place in Africa.
Yeah.
And usually you wouldn't begin preparing food for like 30 people.
Right.
All of a sudden.
Right.
But they would find her already making preparations because she had a dream, and because she has gone through it so many times.
Yeah.
She already knows when something bad has happened.
There's certainly anecdotal evidence to suggest that people are much more connected than we think we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like you probably know this, like sometimes you go out and you drive and you can feel that there's like aggression in the air. Like all the drivers are mad.
Yeah.
And crazy. And other days you go out and it's like blissful, right?
Yes.
And then there's a strange phenomenon like when one person in the world discovers makes a new scientific breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Usually about a couple other people in other parts of the world will have the same breakthrough just a few hours later.
That's very true.
And it's like almost as if once the thing is knowable,
yeah,
everybody kind of just knows it a little
like
bit more.
Like it's in the air already.
It's easier to learn something that's already been learned. So as soon as a person got that knowledge,
yes,
they kind of can, other people can get that knowledge easier, faster. And we don't know why. That's who knows? But we also don't know why birds flock together and can find the same tree, or when they migrate. We don't know tons of things that are going on in our patterns of life and in the way our minds work.
Do you believe in paranormal, or have you ever seen or experienced anything paranormal?
I was in a place. I played a gig in Lake Arrowhead, and there's a place where they put you up if you play there.
Where's Lake Arrowhead? Lake
Arrowhead is it's about 2 hours from here.
Okay.
It's up near. It's near Big Bear. Okay. So there's a lake there, and there's this really kind of creepy place called the Black Fern Manor. You can look it up online. The Black
Fern Manor?
Yeah, you can look it up online. It's a known haunted house.
Yeah.
Okay. So you play at the Tudor House Theater. That's where the gig is. They have like a dinner theater, and they do a podcast. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then because you do the gig, they also let you stay in the Black Fern Manor. So when I stayed there, nobody else was staying there.
Yeah.
And before we stayed there, they said, "Hey, no one's going to be there with you, and just so you know, a lot of people think it's haunted. And also, when you're there, like, a lot of people have tried to stay there, and they left in the middle of the night because it was too creepy."
That's creepy. Now that you're even describing it, like if somebody told me that, why would I even stay?
Yeah. Well, for me, I was like, awesome, cool. Yeah. Like, I don't know what this is. So you go in, and it's like they haven't changed it. This was like in the Prohibition era. They used to have the Black Fern era. They had the Tudor House Theater.
Yeah.
That was where they would, like, I guess, gamble and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they had tunnels underneath where they would make gin and stuff in the Prohibition era. They were making booze illegally.
Yeah.
And then there was the bathhouse where you could go be with a prostitute. And then the hotel.
So it was the music, the brothel, the liquor.
And the hotel where we stayed was where the prostitutes lived. That's where all their rooms were. And they still have their names on the door. So you go down.
There were pleasant noises that were waking you up at night.
You go down you go down. Oh, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
So you go down the hall, and like on the door of your hotel room, it'll say Lily, and like that was her room. That's where she lived while she was working there. And then like the next door is Jasmine. So they're like, oh, you're going to be in Jasmine's room on the second floor. And so the story was, it was this gangster guy named Bugsy who was running this whole operation.
I know Bugsy.
Yeah.
Not personally.
No, not personally.
Of course.
This mobster, right? He had a lot of casinos in Vegas as well.
Beanie Siegel, Bugsy Siegel.
So the story is he was, I guess, involved romantically with one of the prostitutes.
Yeah. So it was Lily and Catherine.
Huh?
Lily and Catherine. What was the two rooms? There was Lily, and then there was
Jasmine. There was. Oh, I mean, I forget them all, but they're all marked, and it's all still the names of the people who are in those rooms. So the story goes that one of the girls was Bugsy's kind of girlfriend, but she was actually in love with another guy, and she had a kid with that other guy. And Bugsy threw the guy off of her balcony and killed him. And then he ran over the 4-year-old kid with a truck.
Oh, shit.
And then she committed suicide in there. Okay?
Why would I stay there?
Okay, so that's the story, right? And people have said they've seen the kid. People have seen they've seen the guy, and people have said they've seen the woman. I went in, I was exploring it, and they do some really trippy things. Like, there's a painting that's like, it's a painting of a portrait, okay? But they've tweaked it out, so like as you walk past it, the eyes follow you. So the first time you realize that, you're like, what? But that's just like a joke, you know? But what did happen was, went into the library. There's like a separate library room. And right next, in the room next door, I could hear clearly a cough. Like someone went like, and it sounded loud and clear. Yeah. And we both heard it. And I was like, what did you just hear?
You still stay?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I can't stay in such a. But what if they were just playing an inside joke on you and you are on camera and they were like, they're at the end of the camera?
Hey, I don't know. Maybe they've got, just like they have the eyes that follow you. Maybe they have like a recording that plays this sound of a cough every 6 hours or something. There was nobody there.
So they want like pleasant noises. You didn't hear Jasmine the freak getting a thing on.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, and I didn't see anything either.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. The mind, like you said, like eyewitness accounts are good. The mind typically plays tricks on people. You know, like if I came to you and I said, "Man, dude, I was in my car and like I looked over and suddenly there was like my grandmother was in the car with me, and then and then she wasn't there," you'd be like, you wouldn't think it was true, right?
I wouldn't think it was true.
You'd think, oh, Ben, you
Ben
maybe
is
need some
losing
help.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's, that's, I think, a lot of the time a better explanation than.
So I think the question right now should be, what do you think happens when people die? What do you? I know you don't know.
Yeah.
But what do you think happens when people die?
I would like to live as if nothing happens when you die. I think it's a better way to live. I've thought a lot about this. I think it's a better way to live to assume that you only get what you know you get. And when whenever you die, if your spirit does leave your body and go somewhere, you're either not going to remember anything here or it's not going to be relevant. I think it will make people appreciate what they have more. And I think it will, even in a lot of cases, help people deal with death in a more helpful way.
Dude, that's dark. Like the optimist in me wants to accept that. And I know it adds value to the life that we're living right now, so that it makes every second, every nanosecond precious, right?
Yeah.
But we are not wired to just like be that. Even the science disagrees with what you think. Or how do you like to live your life?
That you think the science suggests that we go to another place when we die?
No, the science suggests that energy is neither created nor destroyed, and you're a form of energy. So all those energies are going to be transformed to another form.
Into worms in the
ground. And your
ground.
consciousness being energy as well that you might not be able to touch must also be transforming to another form.
So there's a lot of assumptions there.
Yeah.
And energy is recycled, but like the energy that is in me that's animated right now, most of it will turn into bacteria food or bug food. Maggots will eat it if I don't get cremated, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of what happens.
That's the matter that will die. But the energy will just become heat.
Well, it's difficult to make that claim, right? Because the laws of the universe seem to actually be the opposite, that things go from high energy to low energy, that essentially everything in our solar system is going to not only collide with the Andromeda galaxy that's coming to us, but everything else that we can see that tells us about the Big Bang is also disappearing from our view as it's expanding faster than the speed of light. Eventually, future generations of people will not be able to see it. They won't be able to see anything out there because it will have gone faster than light. And my point is a whole lot of nothingness is coming all of our ways in a very long time. And the laws of nature seem to suggest that.
So you're saying that right now we are living at the highest of highs? I refuse that.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is
and
we
that
are
we're
living.
going to the lowest of lows.
We seem to be living, and we seem to actually be the best example of anti-entropy. Entropy. We're the most complex and continuing to be complex things in the universe.
Where are
while
we?
Everything else goes from a state of complexity to less complexity.
Yes, I agree. So where do you think we are right now on the curve of entropy?
As far as we know, we are the very top.
Nah, that's where we're wrong. That's where we're wrong. That's where we're totally wrong. Everything
where
heads towards maximum disorganization, right?
Not everything. Clearly not. Planet Earth
everything,
didn't do that.
everything. The
Planet
Earth
Earth
heads towards there. Our cells head towards maximum disorganization. Everything.
No, the whole experiment of life on this planet
Yeah.
is a prime example that in some cases there is a profound fight against entropy. We are the best examples.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much that you even bring up entropy and the destruction, right? You say the destruction. Like if we are at the top, then the next one goes totally to the bottom.
No. Like everything in the universe would suggest that the mountain we're standing on is improbable. That in order to get the conditions for an Earth to be, not too heavy,
define
not too
improbable.
light.
I don't remember what improbable means. That means
Unlikely.
unlikely. So it's unlikely that we are the bliss of this entropy curve. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
No.
Or are you saying that certainly we are the bliss of this entropy curve and it could only go downhill from there?
I'm saying as far as the fossil record goes, life started on this planet in a relatively simple way. And despite entropy, which would suggest that these life forms dissolve to inanimate objects, life has become more complex because life is essentially a fight against entropy.
Yes.
Life is getting more complex. And we are, at the moment, on this planet, the most complex version of life that we've seen.
And
we're getting more complex. There's
Yes.
evidence that suggests our brains are getting bigger. That
I'm going to agree with that, and I have two explanations.
Okay.
Two explanations for that. This is really interesting now. How much time do we have?
We're good.
So, now that you say the first mistake we make as humans is thinking that our evolution and where we are right now, because we invented the iPhone and we have a computer that connects, that we have come to the pinnacle of what could be achieved. I believe we haven't even started, or even if we are looking at things, this is just a seed beginning to sprout. This is just the first leaf beginning to sprout out of the seed. We haven't become a tree yet, but we seem to think that we are at a point where the last leaf of the tree is falling and we are dying.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that we're the last.
Yes, so this is, okay, you don't believe, maybe I misunderstood you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the general belief in the world is that that's where we are. The leaf is the last 3 leaves are falling, and the only thing remaining is for us to wither away and die into dust.
No, I'm not that depressed. I think when the sun explodes and eats the planet, there is a slight chance that there will still be people around to save themselves from this disaster.
And that's the mistake.
The people will be so different from us.
Yeah.
We won't recognize them. We may be as different from them as chimpanzees are different from us.
Yes.
We've just recently gotten control of like the microbe world, and only somewhat, but still quite successfully.
Yeah.
We figured out bacteria infections. We've prolonged our lives incredibly. We may get to a point where we are able to alleviate psychological suffering altogether.
That's before we take that deep dive, I want to explain where the whole life and death curve and the way that I think it works, the way that it is, right? Mm-hmm. So if we are to look at life and death, right, as right now we're looking at it as a curve.
Yeah.
You're born, you're a toddler, you're happy, everything is fine. You're close. You're closer to the heavenly world that you've just come from. Whatever, whether it's heaven or just creation, you're young. Everything is possible. And you begin growing up. So the curve keeps growing like this. So it's growing up, it's going up, it's going up. It's like, it's not like a parabola, but it's like a smooth curve. Let's say it's a smooth curve. Mm-hmm. Then you get to your youth, right now you have like the most energy, almost getting to your top, right?
Right.
You get to the top and then you begin aging, right? Before you know it, a belly is starting to form. Yeah, you're losing hair. You don't have this. You can no longer do 100 push-ups in one go. Yeah. Like things start happening, and before you know it, you're senile and your back can no longer hold you. You're walking like that, and then you die. Right?
Yeah.
Life is a bitch and then you die.
Right.
But if you're to consider that everything in the world has an opposite side, the world that we live in is a dual world. There's duality. There's day, there's light. There's life, there's death. There's positive, there's negative. Everything in the world has an opposite to it. So the same way that we think about life, just like matter has antimatter, the same way that we think about life and the same way that we've thought about our civilization from the point of inception of the Big Bang, at the end of the day, even if it dies, there will still come a point where it's up to the Big Bang. So what we're not seeing is that we're seeing this circle, which is a curve in the form of a dome. But have you considered that there's a bottom of the dome, which is as equal? So the bottom of the dome from your point of life, where you're above ground, have you considered that the spiritual world, let me use the metaphor of under, you going under, what if there's just that curve continuing until the next Big Bang when you're born? So the metaphor could work for us being children, growing up to adulthood, or just dying suddenly and then you can't, like that whole circle. And it's just life and also civilization should be looked at in the same way of that same circle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and sorry.
Continue?
So let me just finish this point that if we are to agree, and if I'm to advance that theory of life being circular, and that circle is divided upon being what's life and what's death, what's positive, what's negative, and matter, anti-matter, what you can see, what you can't see. So if we're to take that theory, that even if I'm looking at it as where we are right now is that technology is allowing us to only look at it as, or what we know about the world is only looking at, managing to look at it as a circle. Uh-huh. Now, I was watching a podcast, and there was this scientist who was explaining things that they're beginning to discover in an atom, where we thought the electrons just spin around in an atom, like spin around a core, that they don't just spin in a circle, but they, instead of being a 360, what's 360 times 2? 720?
Yeah.
That spin might not even just be the spin which goes round. It might not be the spin of life and death, but it might be a 360, my math is so bad. It might be a 720. So when you're saying that if the earth gets destroyed, right, and we might not even recognize the beings that come after,
Yeah.
that still supports the same theory that it's a three. Let me put it this way. Allow me to borrow your. Let me take my glass.
Okay.
Let's first cheers on it.
Cheers.
So this is how he explained it. He held a cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I might fail on my first attempt, but just allow it, right? He said he held his cup, and this is a very tall glass, but he said that this would be the 360.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you that this could spin like that without spilling the drink, right?
Yeah.
Like that, and then come under, and then come up this way. That would be the 320.
Yeah.
That what if life right now, what we can understand is only the 360, but there is also that 320. It's also spin, but it involves our evolution, and it involves dimensions that we haven't even seen. Life is still possible in all those other realms.
Okay, so to that, I would say,
Yeah.
what you propose is very interesting.
Yeah.
You don't have any proof to demonstrate this.
Oh, there's proof. There's a spinner.
No, you can. So what you've done for a lot of the argument is say, because there's this pattern that we already see, we can then presume this other thing happens when you die, right? It's like that's a huge leap. It's a logical fallacy to think that everything is going to happen in a series, right? To be like, well, when I knock on a neighbor's door, they come to the door and they say hello. Therefore, when you knock on everyone's door, they come to the door and say hello.
No.
It's not actually true.
That's
right?
not what I said. That's not what I said. Because the theory that I'm trying to advance is that much as we've been used to seeing a 360, there's no way of telling that spinner is going to follow that same exact route that I took like this to come back to that same very point. Either people are going to be going in very different directions.
Right.
Just like the Earth itself. Okay. The Earth itself, it's right now might be the big or whatever exploded and this star was formed, which might just be on only one channel of that reality. Right. But there could be several different possibilities happening out there.
Okay. So this is my response to that.
Yeah.
Super interesting, fascinating. It's a proposition put forward that teases my brain into thinking, oh, maybe there's an afterlife. Maybe there's a lot of stuff I can't see that I don't understand. Maybe there's hope for me. And really what I think is the case with almost every religion and almost every person's own psychology is we find our egos are partly have evolved to help us stay alive, right? Yeah. If we didn't have our egos, we wouldn't be able to win this fight of entropy, right? Such a big ego. We have this thing like this like Nietzsche calls it the will to power, right? We want to succeed against the odds, and we want to we have to fight against this crazy improbability of our existence to begin with. So then when someone like yourself propose this idea, I'm then offered this thing I could think, and I could say, oh, so maybe I don't need to be afraid of death, and it's a very attractive idea. Yeah. But my question is, with all of these things, is even though it's nice to imagine that, even though that might be a nice feeling and a comforting feeling, will the result ultimately be better for people or for myself to embrace that idea or to have a simpler understanding and say, we don't know, but we know that we die. I don't know what happens when I die, but I know I have now. And I know how my time is limited. I think it's harder to think the second thing, but ultimately it makes you live better. Ultimately, our egos sometimes grow so big that we think that we're the most important species on the planet. We're more important than whatever your cow's going through, whatever a monkey's going through, whatever your dog's going through. Yeah. We're so much more important. You know what? We're so important. We're made in God's image. We're godly. We're kind of like gods. Like we can't deal with the fact that we are basically
the fresh God. Yes.
Evolved primates with primate instincts and primate weaknesses. Yeah. And our will to go to war.
But are you trying to say that we haven't dominated this planet?
No, we've certainly dominated the planet. Yeah. We're certainly the most successful of the high primates. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to say that we kid ourselves in thinking that there is anything really all that truly unique in our hard wiring. Our bodies are not very good at doing lots of physical things. We're barely evolved enough to stand up straight. We have an appendix. Before modern medicine, before we got, under a better understanding, people died mostly because of their teeth, because they're, still kind of primate teeth.
Yeah.
We're not, and a lot of us spend our time being really miserable, worrying about things. And it's because we're still running software that was supposed to help primates gather food in a hunter-gatherer society thousands of years ago.
Yes.
Our brains haven't evolved to where we are today. And as a result, we suffer needlessly a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, A, we take ourselves too seriously as a trait.
Yeah.
B, we give ourselves too much credit in thinking that we're so high above everything else that's alive. And C, we have a long way to go in terms of where we can imagine how life can be.
Yeah.
And if you look at the curve of progress with humanity, I mean, the Enlightenment wasn't that long ago, in the grand scheme of things. If we've been here for a few 100,000 years as people, it's been only a few hundred years that we've started to really get an organized system of how do we really share information properly?
Yeah.
How do we get away from oppressive regimes?
Did you hear recently that the second renaissance is coming? 5G, baby.
Oh,
you're gonna be able to download a movie like that
in 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Oh, it's so funny you bring that up because I thought we should talk about 5G.
And guess who is at the forefront of that?
China. Yeah, 5G is going to be crazy because not only is it going to be so fast, they're going to have so many hubs in so many different places that they will be able to track you in real time so efficiently. They're going to be able to know everyone's position.
Why are you appealing to my anxiety right now? I have nothing to hide,
Because I want you to.
But at the end of the day, why can't you think about self-driving? Why are you becoming so pessimistic? You used to be a very positive human being.
Oh,
I used to be the pessimist.
Are you getting the sense that I'm pessimistic?
Yeah. I'm getting the sense that your first instinct of 5G technologies as being monitored. Instead of, before you would be self-driving cars. Think about going for surgery that would have taken you 5 months to recover. But now the machine operates on you and sews you up really fast.
Hey, I'm the guy that said microchip me already. I want all of these interactions.
No, hold up with the microchipping. We need the microchipping to go into. I'll take the microchipping when it's in 5G technology.
I want
not first generation.
You have
the MS DOS.
You have nanobots in your body that are reporting on vitamin levels and whether or not you're iron deficient, and then it says GNL Zamba.
Yeah.
This morning have an extra scoop of blueberries.
What if I could eat whatever I want and that nano robot goes through my veins and it's don't worry, you can have all the ice cream you want because I'll eat it up and help you shit it out.
Yeah, but see, the reason you want that ice cream is because your monkey brain is wired to get pleasure from a high calorie intake.
Yeah.
But we don't need that anymore. That's not helpful. And as you see, what happens is people end up getting really fat, right?
But okay.
Because your brain is wired wrong.
Yeah.
What you need is to get to a point where your brain isn't interested in that, where your reward centers are somewhere else.
No, that's the total opposite. The thing is that we should have all the pleasures. We should have all the debauchery out there.
Yeah.
And let these motherfuckers, the nano robots. Why would I get a chip if I can't have all the pleasures that I want in my life? We should involve in all our physical pleasures.
Yeah.
If I want to eat do you know how much I love food and how much I love cake? But
do.
I'm not able to eat as much cake as I want because I'm at the age where if I eat too much cake, it might be difficult for me to breathe in the future.
So when you eat cake,
if I can have all the tiramisu in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this nano robot is going to help break it down and not give me an effect on my body.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting the chip.
So what I'm saying is this is a struggle in your brain because your brain is wired to reward you for high calorie foods and sugar, right? But hang on. What if you don't have to not have that pleasure, but you can actually just rewire your brain to get an immense pleasure all the time? You could have the same pleasure of eating and having sex and doing drugs and whatever, the same bliss from your highest moments and your best feelings of all time. You could have that always. They're working on being able to tweak that. They've already successfully done that.
Then it wouldn't be special.
Well, that's the argument.
But think about it though.
Yeah.
Imagine you could surf anytime you wanted. Okay, this is wrong because you're an extremist on surfing. I don't know. What do you like to do? If you could have Chinese food every time you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
The next time you would have a Chinese meal, you'd probably feel like vomiting. Like if I'm speaking from personal experience.
Not if I was Chinese.
I'm speaking from. That's very true. Actually, that's very stupid. Now that I said it that way, I realize how stupid that was. But let me put it this way, from personal experience.
And then we're gonna wrap this up.
Then we're gonna wrap this up. But there was a time when my parents were so broke, but they managed to somehow get 2 sacks of like Irish. For some reason, I don't know where they kept on getting the Irish potatoes. But Irish potatoes are what they in America they call them fries, like what you make fries from, right? So we had a sack of Irish potatoes every day, and beans, and we kept on eating this shit to the point that when they called you for food, you'd be like, "What the?" You'd begin smelling it and feel like vomiting. You get me?
Wow.
So to me, the same way that of having the pleasure. And it isn't that we don't like Irish. Actually, my parents got Irish potatoes and like beans and the huge supply because I loved the potatoes. I loved to eat them as a treat. You get me? Whenever they came and they brought back home chips, it was a treat. But they had so much of the treat that it lost the value. So imagine if I could have all those pleasures on me and they wouldn't feel like a treat. I don't think there would be any thrill in life.
Okay, but
the thrill is in being able to have it.
Sure, I totally get this argument, and this is a really good response.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like we often think, a pleasure is sort of in contrast with its opposite, with pain. So when something's really exciting, well, you need to maybe be bored and wait at a stop sign for a while before you have an exciting moment. Yeah. Otherwise, the exciting moment isn't exciting. Yeah. What I'm talking about is not that. What I'm talking about is rewiring the brain to the point where what you're experiencing all the time always feels new, always feels exciting, always feels pleasurable, doesn't have useless pain and anxiety for no reason, doesn't lead you into depression for no reason, doesn't make you crave sweets and then feel bad about eating sweets, doesn't make you, but instead, all of the time you're living in a constant state of bliss.
You said something about sweets. My brain went there. Yeah, you're saying.
Yeah. So the idea is you would be in a constant state of bliss. It's not just like you wouldn't even be able to compare it to eating cake every day because that gets boring. Because your brain suddenly switches to something else.
Can you imagine a constant state of bliss? That would be torture. I was watching a video where there's this woman who can't control her orgasms.
Yeah.
And at first it was funny, but then I began feeling sorry for her. Actually, you can go Google, you can go search for this video clip. There's this woman who can't control her orgasms.
She can't control them?
She can't.
She just has them all the time.
She has them all the time.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's
that's
torture.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine having all your fantasies played out to you all the time.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about either. I'm not talking about trying to like live a normal life while you're orgasming all the time. It's
not a normal life where you have all your pleasures at every time you want them.
What I'm talking about is and it's a huge. There's all kinds of philosophical questions with it, and I completely understand your arguments and I agree with them.
I'm the Ugandan Noam Chomsky. More handsome.
The idea is that our brains are broken. Our brains aren't actually working the best way for us. just like our biology is broken in a lot of ways, and we had to figure out things like dentists and antibiotics, we're going to fix our psychology to a point where we don't have to suffer for no reason. We don't have to feel like shit about ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't have to have these old impulses that were really helpful for hunter-gatherer societies for their survival, but aren't helpful anymore. And that's how you're going to get Star Trek Utopia.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to be on the fast G? Do you think that's going to be? Do you think first generation is going to be able to deliver that?
As soon as we get, I think it's 5G. That's what's going to do it, baby.
Yeah. So let all the people go through all the trials. I'll wait.
5G, baby. 5G.
There's no way of knowing what the future is going to be able to provide for us. There's no way of knowing what the future holds. We can only predict, right?
Yeah.
And we can only dream. We can only dream of what the future is going to be, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very optimistic that we are going to be able to do very special things. And I think in my dreams, when people say there's a place called heaven, I don't think there's one heaven. I think people should begin thinking that there are 7 levels of heaven. Or there are even like 17,000 levels of heaven. Or
Why?
17 versions of levels is different. Versions.
Why that number?
Because I'm just pulling a number out of my ass right now.
Yeah,
but
good.
The point I'm trying to make is that since when has life only ever had only one outcome?
Uh-huh.
There's never been one outcome. When you produce your child, you don't know what their outcome is going to be. You don't know what the possibilities out there are going to be. Matter behaves differently according to what kind of forces impact upon it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the same way life behaves. And to your point where you are talking about having bliss and all these other things, I can already predict that something is going to go wrong with having all these pleasures at you and it isn't because our brain is imperfect, but having all these pleasures like displayed, and it's a buffet that you're always eating, the buffet is finally going to run out. And the way that I look at science and look at like the whole human picture, like we were talking about the previous podcast about being able to zoom out everything, every level you zoom out. So if it's a human experience, you zoom out to the civilization and where we are right now, and you zoom out to the creation of the universe where we are, which is also still expanding. I believe that if it just remains at a constant, it takes away certain psychological evolutions that would have happened for the next generation if everything is solved at the first level. Because what keeps us going as humans is not being complete. What keeps you waking up in the morning is because you like to see another brighter day. What would make you happy? I wish I would hit the ocean. But if the ocean is always there and you have a feeling of being at the ocean, something about your limbs won't evolve, It's something about the balance that you need won't evolve.
Right.
And I look at that as, how the heart beats and you see the going ups and down. I think that is the pace of life itself. Everything has those ups and downs, and think of the pleasures as being the highs. The diastole and what do they call it? The systole. When it beats, it's the whatever, then it beats again.
Yeah.
That's the pace of life. So if science is trying to take that away and make it a flight line, guess what a flight line is as a metaphor?
Where?
Death. When you flightline, you die.
Oh, yeah.
So that might be the death of our civilization. But we can only dream. We're not prophets of doom. It's the Zambaland Podcast. Your boy GNL Zamba, Ben Wilkins. And we are dreaming about a brighter future, talking about dreams and experiences. And we would like you to hit us up in the comments. Tell us about your dreams. Tell us what you think about the podcast. And we're already online right now, right? Because I got an email saying that we're going to be online everywhere. So Google Podcast and iTunes, check us out there. It's your boy GNL Zamba, Ben Wilkins, Zambaland Podcast. Dreams.
Yeah.
Zamba. BABOON force. A legend.